Hey guys, I'm gonna be painting today. I'm just gonna show you real quick what I'm painting. There's the still life setup. Got some cut figs and stuff in there. Here we go.
The mist across the window hides the lines.
So you guys can ask me questions while I paint. Just gonna start laying these things in.
Look and dry your eyes. We so tired of all the darkness in our lives. With no more angry words to say can come alive. Get into a
What's up, Mike? How's it going?
to the other side. Into the night, into the light. You stepping out. Into the night, into the light. We are young but getting old before our time. We'll leave the TV and the radio behind. Don't you wonder what we'll find stepping out tonight? You can dress in pink and blue just like a child. And in a yellow taxi, turn to me and smile. We'll be there in just a while. If you follow me, babe, stepping out into the night, into the light. You, babe, stepping out into the night, into the light. We, babe, stepping out into the night, into the light.
Hey Juan, how's it going? Hi, Bill. Yeah, I can mention a few things. So, I am spending the most amount of time coming out of the Terminator Edge. My Terminator Edge is right here in this area. And then in the light zones, I'm spending a very little amount of time. Thanks, Juan. It was nice seeing you yesterday on Zoom. Wish it could be in person, of course.
If you wanna be rich,
I usually start in the lights, even though most people will render out of the shadows.
you got to be a bitch. I said rich.
This song's kind of fun, but I'm gonna go to the next one. I'll throw little tidbits of info here and there while I paint. But basically I'm loading my brush up with chroma here in the lights. I use usually just the cheapest brushes I could find, and all my brushes are treacle. So I'm sponsored by Treacle, and I think they're just an amazing company. They're economical, but also very good quality brushes. Also, notice like all my brushes are different shapes and sizes. I try to keep it very variated. I don't want to only use rounds. I have some stranger brushes that are like very long and stuff like that. Yeah, Taklons, but I also use these Legion brushes. I think the Legion brushes are a good alternative to synthetic, but the feel of as if it were to be made out of squirrel. Let's see, so I'm just trying to drop the chroma as I exit the light. Light reveals value and chroma. That's something that they don't tell you in schools, guys. Okay. Usually I don't shift hue towards green in the shadows, especially on a lemon. But the green grapes are shifting the hue towards green, so I'm going for that. Yeah, so the decrement of light, it's not exactly exponential. It is, so a friend of mine from Harvard said that it's, the luminance is based off of the distance, and so it is very close to exponential, but it's more squared. So it's called the squared dependency based off of luminosity and the distance of the light to the object. The guy from Harvard can explain it better than me. but it can be exponential if you're put in a very specific circumstance. Is it exponential all the time? No, it's it's not exponential. Just in a very specific circumstance, you can arrange it to be more linear or more exponential. It just matters on the distance. Hey Juan, are you driving from Arizona right now?
Everybody's doing a break dance now. I know you'll get to like it if you give it a chance now.
Yeah, forms are always turning in space. And the weird thing about calculating form is that when the light source is really far away, it actually steers clear from exponential and heads more towards linear. But because my still life is right next to the window, it'll be extremely rapid in its change, and so it'll be basically exponential. Really close to being exponential. It was nice you showed up for a bit last night, though, Juan. It was nice to see you. That was a very fun Zoom party. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm totally against formulas. When someone says, what colors do you use to do so and so, I usually just tell them, you know, if I were to hand you a piece of cardboard and some acrylic paints or gouache, you know, you can make a masterpiece out of that. It doesn't really matter what materials you're using. It just matters that you're applying the concepts of volume to your work. That's really what matters the most. All the variables can change one painting to the next. Let's see. Trying to go towards the wood table here, which means that if I'm going towards the wood table, I need to get more orange. There we go. Absolutely. So my training was from Grand Central Atelier, and they have a very specific way of working to steer clear from those kind of art school conventions. And so we actually don't use warm light cool shadow, cool light, warm shadow. We don't use that. What we do use is warm light, warm shadow, and cool light, cool shadow. I know it's confusing, but if you do it right, because light reveals the color and value of the thing. If you do it correctly, your painting will seem as if though it's cool light, warm shadow, but you have to do it accurately, and that's gonna allow you to achieve volume that is just gonna be really impressive. So warm light, cool shadow is actually called simultaneous contrast. What you're perceiving, you're just perceiving the complement. And I don't paint with complements usually. Depends on what I'm painting, but it can kind of screw your form up a little bit. So I try to avoid the thought of complements. And warm light, cool shadow is a optical fallacy that we see but does not actually exist. And also another thing that I learned in my training, my academic training, was we didn't use temperature, we used hue, value, chroma, and we didn't use the word value. We just used the words turning away from the form or turning towards the form. If you change your vocabulary, it will lead you to more accurate thoughts about form, and then your paintings will become more believable as a result. Exactly, pure Munsell, just completely abandoning the thought of about temperature and just identifying exactly what the color is. I don't want to get too dark here because there's a lot of reflective light. Since this is really close to the light most facing plane, it's bouncing a ton of light in there, so I'm just lighting that up. Let's see, I'm going to get nice and gray over here. Hey Oscar, how you been? I just canceled my flight to Los Angeles, Oscar. I was gonna be there a few days ago. No bueno taking flights during these times. Right, I guess the monochrome, or in other terms, I like to call it mannequin painting. So like you're painting models and they end up looking like mannequins. That happens from not shifting hues. So the Munsell does a really great job of keeping you on the same hue of what you're painting on the exact local of the object. But for example, right now I'm turning towards a purple fig, I'm turning towards a green grape, I'm turning towards orange table. So each thing that I turn towards is going to shift in hue. But you know what they don't teach in art schools is that it also shifts in chroma. So I don't want to raise the chroma because light describes what the local is. And so if I'm going away from the light, I don't want to describe that local with color. I want to describe that local with more gray. No, I have a full palette going on here. I use every color on the rainbow. I should probably be starting on the cut fig instead of this lemon. I'm gonna just show you guys real quick what I'm painting. So here's the painting. Here's what I'm painting. I mean, let's see. There we go. Okie dokie, I'm gonna plug in my phone real quick. But meanwhile, if you guys have any questions. One, you can't come into the live video one. I'm sorry. We're gonna do another one where it's just you and me. Okay, so here's the palette I'm working with. I have my neutrals up top. And then here's my lemon colors. This is my light source. So my light source is just north light facing window. I'm here in Manhattan. If I point up, you'll see these are the lights I use. I use them just for when I'm working at night. I don't use them to light my still lifes. You could see that it's all naturally lit. And I'm just painting this thing from life. Don't cry, Juan. You'll be in the next one. An interview is too much pressure for me right now. I'm not ready. Alright, let's see. I lay in the shadows usually later. I'll start to paint form and then lay in the shadows last minute. I know it seems backwards, but really if you're really focused on form and you have zero context, you will have the same results as if you had blocked in the shadows and everything. So it's more about a mindset that you have where you will get the same results, and just really trying to be on the form, and then when you put in the context, it should work out. It's kind of kamikaze style, but I like to keep it fresh. Let's see, adding some green here in the reflective light because I'm facing towards those grapes. Do you use a mix of neutrals to help with turning the form in chroma? My neutrals are made out of Van Dyke brown and white, and I use 12 values of neutrals. So I use the 9 on the Munsell, and then Ivory Black is my 0, and Van Dyke Brown is like my 0.5, and then values 1 through 9 on the Munsell are Van Dyke Brown plus white, and then pure white would be my value number 12, basically, or my color number 12. So yeah, basically I just mix Van Dyke Brown and white for my neutrals. I don't turn the form only with neutrals. I turn the form with all sorts of things, like primaries. Let's see. But just neutral versions of the primaries. So whatever is neutral but the same local.
Come on, girls. Do you believe in love? 'Cause I got something to say about it. And it goes something like this. Don't go for second best, baby. Put your love to the test. You know you got to make him express how you feel. And baby,
There is a crazy heat wave here in New York City at the moment. So I'm literally sweating as I'm painting this so that the AC doesn't bother you guys, because it's pretty loud. But if you guys want to ask any questions, I'm open to answering questions. Mis padres son de Argentina, pero yo nací en Los Ángeles. ¿Y vos de dónde sos? peruano. Qué bueno, un gusto. Ajá, sí, me acuerdo ver tu trabajo. Me suena que estabas en New York Academy. Yeah, New York Academy, guys, it's a very great school. I signed up for the summer program there, and obviously that didn't happen, but it would have been fun. So I'm just basically painting without paint. Like this is a clean brush, and I'm just taking off paint. Yeah, so I studied at GCA. It's a 4-year program, and I'm starting the 4th year in person 6 days from now. So basically they're starting. GCA is starting a month early to compensate for the time lost from spring when we went into quarantine. But it's the last home stretch after I'm done with this last year. I'll be on my own. Well, it feels like I've been on my own because we went into quarantine half a year ago, almost. So I've definitely been on my own. But you guys know what I mean. So, Nalo, are you thinking of studying at GCA, or why do you ask? It is 4 years of painting nude models and pretty much nothing else, to be honest. But I think that we should definitely understand how to draw and paint the figure. And then you could do whatever you want with that information and paint flowers, still lifes, landscapes, cityscapes, whatever you want. Having the knowledge of painting the human form, I think, unlocks all the abilities of the world, because it's just so difficult. But yeah, I did a few still lifes here and there at GCA, but really all we do is just paint the figure from life every single day. You can't use photos, and I just think it's fantastic. I really wouldn't have done this on my own. I can't even imagine what an 8 to 5 p.m. would look like painting from life for 4 years, cost-wise. You know, that would be a fortune. But this community makes it all happen, so. So when I paint at night, I don't light up the still life. I just light up the painting and make different decisions about what I have to do with it. So, for example, like I have these cups, this glass. I can go ahead and block that in with my, just out of my head. I can do the background out of my head. I could do the wood out of my head. This is a cardboard box, actually. I'll just show you guys. So that's a cardboard box. So I'm gonna be painting that wood out of my head anyway, and so I will do that at night when I'm not looking at the painting. I'm gonna be painting the box out of my head, painting the background out of my head, stuff like that. But that's the beauty of painting in the summer, is that I can start painting at like 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. and the natural light, being north exposure, is just wonderful. I really don't have to worry about it. I mean, it's gonna rain in the next few days, so of course that's a big deal. Like, it'll rain and then get so dark that I have to work on another project, like a commission or something. And these are perishables, so I'll put it in the fridge at night, and setting it up in the same fashion is difficult, but luckily I spent a lot of time on the drawing, and if things are different, it doesn't really matter. I can kind of make it up a little bit. Hi Sienna. I know that they're pretty expensive, but and I'm not like a advocate for them or a promoter of them, but I really do think deep down inside that doing 2 years at GCA would be better than doing 4 years at another atelier, just because GCA does not use the methods of other art schools. They have a very specialized method where they don't talk about value, temperature, and all the sorts of things that you hear in art schools. And there's very sophisticated reasons as to why they do that. And I'm so grateful for it. I'm extremely grateful for the art university that I attended, called Academy of Art University in San Francisco. It was an amazing experience, and they work optically and impressionistically, and I absolutely love that style. I myself really enjoy abstract painting and all of that, so I can really appreciate my where I got my BFA from. GCA, what they offer is something that you're not really able to get from any other school, which is just the pure foundations of how to paint volumetrically. So schools don't really teach how to paint volumetrically. They usually teach in a very flat way, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I absolutely love the aesthetic for impressionistic painting and all of that. I just think that each school has their speciality. Some can have their speciality in composition, others in design, others in color or value, but the one thing that GCA is good at is volume. Yeah, GCA is known for their window shading technique because it blows a lot of people's minds that with zero context you could be creating form. And that's the way I was trained there, was through the window shading technique. However, it's optional. So like one month we'll do window shading, and then the next month a teacher will come in who doesn't work window shading, who works section by section, and then the next will be more like a general to specific kind of way. But and it's very interesting because I thought that everyone was going to be painting the same way, but actually each teacher paints super different from the next teacher. And I guess the concepts of form are very scientific, and they're all present in the paintings, and that's, I guess, what's most important. Window shading is when you do a little strip and I wonder if I could do a little window shading on this painting right now, actually. So I'll show you guys what window shading is. Let's see. I'm just gonna clean my brush. I have clove oil on my brushes right now, and so I'm making sure that I terp them out. Okie doke. So window shading. Let's give this a shot. Okay, I'm gonna paint one of the figs using window shading. Okie doke. Okay, so this is basically window shading. So I lay it down and I just kind of ask myself, is this the correct hue value chroma for that plane that is fairly light facing? And I would say it isn't. So let's lean more towards orange, slightly more neutral. There we go, that's closer. Okay. And then it grays out abruptly because of the highlight. So each brushstroke basically has to be correct, which is extremely difficult. And sometimes I get frustrated from this method. So if I break through the window shading and just start doing general to specific, I'll let you know. But for now, I'm really trying to contain myself within the window shading. So yeah, I just switched hue on this fig, but shifting the hue also raised the chroma because I did it with CAD. And so I'm adding just a little bit of Van Dyke Brown. I'm neutralizing it. So I'm just asking myself, is that getting too dark? And I would say so. So luckily adding white neutralizes, and so if I add just a little bit of white, there we go, that neutralized it enough. And now I can shift back to the purpley pink hue, and I'm already facing away from the light enough. That's a little bit too dark in value. So I am facing away from the light, but I'm not facing away from the light source that much. There we go. So I'm noticing that within this strip, my highlight is too chromatic and it's throwing off my range of chroma. So I'm just overlapping some really neutral highlight here. And the color of the highlight is the color of the sky because I'm painting from the window. So I'm just mixing up the blue sky. So I'm staying within this little strip, shifting chroma, hue, value. Let's see. So this is the part where I have to spend most amount of time. It's right where I enter the Terminator edge. So I'm just gonna kind of prep for that a little bit. I can feel like sweat dripping down my back right now because it's so hot. So I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to go on this call, on this live, because there's a heat wave here in New York City. But okay, so I am doing something called bookending. So I'm bookending my range. I'm going all the way down to the darkest dark, and I'm overlapping each brush stroke. So I lay down a brush stroke, I overlap it. That way I'm always concentrated on creating form. Each brush stroke will create form. If I overlap each brush stroke, if I don't overlap each brush stroke, it's much harder to create form. Okay. So this fig is fairly translucent, and so it's kind of chromatic, even closer to the shadows. So I'm just gonna make sure that it's not too gray. Let's see. I'll put some of this like wood over here. That little indication of wood then will allow me to understand how much I can raise the chroma here. Just a little, yeah, there we go. Just a little bit more chroma. It's not transparent enough, so now I'm lifting off some paint. And is it dark enough? Well, I want to make sure that there's a little tiny sliver of ambient occlusion, which is where the ambient light occludes. There we go, just a little sliver. And form is constantly turning, so I don't want a flat little sliver. I want to go into that little nook there that I created. Okie doke. Now that I'm coming out of the Terminator, and I told you guys I'm gonna spend the longest time coming out of the Terminator. It's because the most information and gradation is here, coming out of the Terminator. Okay, it's starting to tuck in a little bit. So this is window shading in a nutshell, guys. I have to draw also while I'm window shading. So if I draw on this little strip, I can just kind of tell myself this angle is wrong. If I'm looking at it as if though it hangs on the clock, I have to go more towards the 4 p.m. there. Or no, wait, let's see, more towards the 7 p.m. And then this might be a little too chromatic, but it helps to describe how I'm oriented in space, because I'm oriented more towards the light source. So I could just kind of trickle the desaturated highlight around a little bit and it'll diffuse up. And so it's like kind of a buzzing of chroma and neutral all at the same time. So that kind of helps for the effect there. My area coming out of the Terminator is still not convincing, so I feel that I have to remove a little bit of paint. So I can tuck in a little better. Okay. Yeah, so that's window shading in a nutshell. I have my whole range here, from darkest dark to lightest light. Notice it's pretty dark. That's only because the top of the fig here is going to be very light because it's facing up. Okay, let's maybe go. Well, the nice thing of having this fig color here is that now I can put it in the shadow. Let's see. I'm gonna neutralize this a little bit. There we go. Get a little bit of a neutral going on. Let's see. I need to get the drawing a little better. So I'm redrawing the Terminator edge, which I like to call the Terminator the third contour, because it's just as important. As the outer contours. Get some wood color in there. Okay. Now I'm just gonna go straight to gray. There we go. Okay, so this form starts to flip up towards the light, but it's facing towards me, so it's not going to be so bright. And then this area here, yeah, that's kind of what I've been telling people, is like, they got the 4-year program and they condensed it to 2 years and had the 3rd and 4th year optional just because people don't have the same attention span as they used to. But obviously that also helps for financial concerns. And if 2 years at GCA were to be a certain price, and that certain price were to be equaling 4 years at another atelier, I usually advocate for going to GCA for 2 years. But that's just my personal opinion. I've been to too many schools, guys. And it took me way too long to make it to GCA. But I'm really happy that I came into GCA already with a BFA and everything. I definitely am happy that I was able to learn optical painting and then go to a school that teaches form painting. And yes, guys, they're two different languages. So you could paint your whole life optically and do just fine. But I wasn't satisfied with just painting optically, and so I went to GCA because they speak a different language than other schools. They paint what they know. They don't paint so much what they see, and so I was after that. I was always really nerding out and asking too many questions, and I finally went to the school that answered those questions. But optical painting, I feel, is just as important as form painting. So I'm not saying one is more important than the other. Form painting is painting conceptually. So like right now I'm being really conceptual with this painting. I'm asking myself, where am I now? Where am I on this plane? How am I oriented in space? And I don't need any context around this lemon. Like I can paint this lemon without any context whatsoever because I'm only thinking form and I'm only thinking conceptually, and so I'm only painting with what I know to be true, in terms of the orientation of everything in space. But then if I were to say I'm going to paint this thing optically, well, you know, I'm not going to be using these brushes. I'm going to be using my my larger brushes. You know, I'm going to be using these, and I'm just going to be like blocking things in, getting value comparisons, getting the flat patterns of values to relate to each other and make sense in terms of a value system that's well structured and well grouped. And I'm going to have my shadow family, my light family, etc. So that's always going to be just as important as form painting. They're both very different from each other. I mean, like, it's kind of like saying like form painting is speaking French and optical painting is speaking English. And sure, like we can recognize certain words and stuff, but they're two different languages at the end of the day, and I think you have to be fluent in both.